Making headlines tonight. His Majesty King Norodom Sihamoni and Prime Minister Hun Sen have delivered a special message as Cambodia celebrates International Persons with Disabilities Day. The remains of Prince Norodom Ranarith will arrive in Cambodia on Sunday. Cambodia successfully delivers COVID-19 aid to Laos on Friday. And crowds return to New York City's Midtown Manhattan at the annual lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. My name is Paolo Bonini. The King of the Kingdom of Cambodia, His Majesty King Norodom Sihamoni, praises the efforts of the Royal Government of Cambodia and the Red Cross for continuously supporting the lives of people with disabilities in Cambodia. The message of the King is on the occasion of the 23rd and 39th International Day of Persons with Disabilities on the 3rd of December. He says His Majesty and the Queen Mother are always considerate and giving royal wealth through royal representatives to help the poor, the most vulnerable, especially the disabled. EAC News reporter Ria Soka has the story.
The King understands that Cambodia, under the leadership of the head of the royal government, Prime Minister Hun Sen, who is also the honorary chairman of the Council for the Actions of Persons with Disabilities, has gradually improved the lives of the persons with disabilities. The King also expressed His Royal Highness support for the royal government, which has a high level of realism in promoting leadership and participation of persons with disabilities to move towards a more comprehensive post-COVID-19 crisis comfort and accessibility. King Norodom Sihamoni has expressed his gratitude and appreciation to the royal government and the Cambodian Red Cross for always giving compassion and mercy to persons with disabilities who have suffered in the past. He has also thanked the national and international community for their generous support, both materially and financially, to help make the disability sector in the Kingdom of Cambodia successful. As the COVID-19 continues to spread in the country, the King also calls on all Cambodians, especially the disabled, to be vaccinated as directed by the Royal Government of Cambodia, and to continue to implement health measures, as well as the 3 measures, the 3 dose and 3 don'ts protection, issued by the Prime Minister Hun Sen as well. The report from the General Secretariat of the Council for Disability Action, nearly 700,000 persons with disabilities in Cambodia, while the situation of people with disabilities is constantly being taken care of by the royal government to make the persons with disabilities able to participate in the development of the country, just like ordinary citizens. Raya Soko, EAC News.
The remains of Prince Norodom Ranarith will arrive in Cambodia on Sunday. His half-brother, King Norodom Sihamoni, and Queen Mother Norodom Moniniath Shinanook has donated $120,000 on Thursday for the prince's funeral. His body will be brought back home from France by a charter flight. Prince Norodom Ranarith succumbed to his illness on Sunday in France. Prime Minister Hun Sen earlier announced that the royal government has organised a committee to arrange the funeral of the prince, in accordance with the Buddhist and royal family traditions. Beyond being a premier, Prime Minister Hun Sen is also the honorary chairman of the Council for Disability Action. He issued a message on Friday in celebration of the National and International Day of Persons with Disabilities, expressing concern for the well-being of all disabled people in the country. The Prime Minister has also encouraged all citizens to keep improving the welfare of people with disabilities so they can have the same opportunities as any other citizens of the kingdom. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the story.
On Friday, Cambodia observes the 23rd International Day of Persons with Disabilities, as well as the 39th International Day for Environmentally and Sustainable Friendly Day. Prime Minister Hun Sen has mentioned the compassion and dedication of the King of the Kingdom of Cambodia, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni, and His Majesty the Queen Mother, who always take care of the PWDs. He has added that Majesty Norodom Sihamoni and the Queen Mother has been giving royal gifts for the people with disabilities and to children affected by the pandemic of COVID-19. The Prime Minister has also called on all ministries, institutions, and competent authorities to implement the National Strategic Plan on Disability 2019-2023, updated with measures to prevent outbreaks of COVID-19 that might affect persons with disabilities, as well as encourage all persons with disabilities to maintain health measures to protect themselves from COVID-19. He further urged ministries, public and private institutions to encourage persons with disabilities who have the qualifications and ability to fulfill roles in their institutions without discrimination, in line with facility of access to public places for PWDs. This includes special parking arrangements such as ramps, equipment, handrails, specialized bathrooms, doors, and signs in all public and private locations. At the same time, he called on the Ministry of Information to guide all public and private radio and television stations or any media outlets to increase broadcast times with sign language translation, especially information on outbreaks and prevention of COVID-19. According to a report of the Disability Action Council General Secretariat, 700,000 people living with disabilities in Cambodia. The condition of persons with disabilities is constantly being assisted by the royal government, so any persons with disabilities can be able to participate in the development of the country, just like ordinary citizens. Although Cambodia has suffered from the COVID-19 crisis, which has affected the jobs and occupations of people, especially the ones with disabilities, the royal government continues to provide cash to the poor and vulnerable to families with equity cards. In fact, they have provided cash to about 678,459 families, which will cost over $461 million from 25 June 2020 to 24 September 2021. 61,426 persons with disabilities, 336,029 people over the age of 60, and 1,958 families living with HIV also received this allowance. The royal government of Cambodia has decided to continue to provide cash assistance to poor and vulnerable families during the 7th round of COVID-19, which covers October, November, and December 2021. Yuri Matosco, EAC News.
After Prime Minister Hun Sen announced on Thursday that he is fully backing his son Hun Manet to become the next Prime Minister, Cambodian leaders have expressed their full support. On Thursday, Hun Manet's name became the centre of the news worldwide after his father's announcement. But the question is, who is Hun Manet? EAC News reporter Ria Soko tells the story.
Hun Manet is the eldest son of Prime Minister Hun Sen and wife Bonrani Hun Sen. The couple has 5 children. 1 died. Hun Manet was born on October 20, 1977 in Mimot District, Kampong Cham Province, now part of the Bungkomon Province. He studied at Komari Primary and Secondary School, now Chaktumuk Primary and Secondary School, from 1980 to 1990, and continued his education at Pinumdaon Pen High School, now being called Priasisuwat High School, from 1990 to 1993. Hun Manet always excelled in mathematics. He ranked first in mathematics challenged throughout the country. In the book, Bonrani, the wife of the strong man of Cambodia, the wife of Prime Minister Hun Sen, Mrs. Bonrani Hun Sen, said that her children have to travel on their own to go to school, like the other ordinary children. It also states that the Prime Minister always educates his children about morality and virtue. Every time they receive a book on the relationship between the school and the family, the father always checks and comments to the teacher, asking for help to teach morality and good character to his children. After graduating from high school, Hun Manet enlisted in the military in 1995. He also attended the Military Academy in West Point, USA, and received his degree on May 29, 1999. Hun Manet was the first Cambodian to study and receive a degree from this university. In addition to his military science skills, Hun Manet also holds a PhD and became the doctor in economics from the University of Bristol, United Kingdom. At present, Hun Manet has a rank of 3-star Lieutenant General as a Deputy Commander-in-Chief and Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces. He is married to Pich Chanmuni and has 2 children. Prime Minister Hun Sen's announcement to support Hun Manet's candidacy for the next Prime Minister has surprised the world, while a series of supporting messages appear from the Prime Minister's decision. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
The royal government of Cambodia has delivered 500,000 doses of vaccine and 3 vaccine trucks to Laos on Friday. The Lao People's Democratic Republic has expressed their deep gratitude to its neighbours Cambodia, as well as the Cambodian people for their support, especially in the middle of their COVID-19 fight. Apart from the Sinovac vaccine and trucks, Cambodia has also donated $13 million in cash aid to Laos during the visit of its Prime Minister to the kingdom this week. EAC News reporter Yuri McCloskey has the details.
At the Trapeang Kriel International Border Crossing in Stung Triang Province, Minister of Health of Laos Bung Phenpo Malaisich has received the donations given by Cambodian Minister of Health Man Bun Heng, who was representing Prime Minister Hun Sen on Friday morning. Laos Minister of Health Bung Phenpo Malaisich has expressed his deep gratitude, especially for Prime Minister Hun Sen, for his concern and providing such valuable assistance to Laos government and its people. He has added that such assistance would be an important part of the prevention and control of the COVID-19 epidemic in Laos, particularly for its vaccination campaign. He hopes the donations will help to increase community protection, reaching 50% of the population by the end of the year. Cambodian Minister of Health Man Bun Heng says that Cambodia cannot completely overcome COVID-19 if the neighboring country still faces the pandemic. He says it is part of their duty to help neighboring countries to fight the COVID-19 while emphasizing its mutual assistance. He has also reminded that it's the 3rd time Cambodia has aided Laos after providing more than $2 million of medical supplies and equipment on November last year, as well as 200,000 doses of Sinovac vaccine in September this year. According to the Cambodian Health Minister, the consistent help is a Cambodian gesture of kindness that shows friendship, sharing hardships, as well as in defense. The 500,000 doses of Sinovac vaccine and 3 vaccine trucks donated by the royal government on Friday is in addition to the $13 million supported of Cambodian to the Laos People's Democratic Republic. The $3 million comes from the royal government of Cambodia, while $10 million has been given by philanthropists in order to prevent and contain the spread of COVID-19 in Laos. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony of road infrastructure and wastewater treatment system in Sihanoukville on Thursday, Prime Minister Hun Sen stated that Cambodia is a country grateful to those who helped him. In 1979, after the fall of the Khmer Rouge regime, Cambodia received support and assistance from Laos and Vietnam to help its people and recover from war, even while both countries were equally facing difficulties, which is something the Cambodians won't never forget. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
Yet again, Cambodia's daily COVID-19 numbers remain in the 20s. On Friday, only 24 new cases were recorded. That includes 4 imported cases. Cambodia has a total tally now of 120,207. 21 patients were successfully treated and discharged overnight. They make the total recoveries 116,569. But there are still deaths. 4 people lost their lives to COVID-19 last night. Cambodia's total death tally now stands at 2,953. Active cases, 685. The WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific has conducted a virtual press conference on Friday morning. The conference was focused on updates of COVID-19, particularly the new Omicron variant, which the WHO has classified as a variant of concern. The regional director, Dr. Takeshi Kasai, joined by his fellow WHO colleagues, took the time to answer some questions regarding the Omicron variant and what measures and practices are best recommended for countries to follow. EAC news reporter Dashana Gochan attended the conference.
In his opening remarks at the press conference, WHO Western Pacific Regional Director Dr. Takeshi Kasai spoke of the progress the world and the Western Pacific region has made in the fight against COVID-19, including the reduction of severe illnesses and deaths as a result of widespread vaccinations. While Dr. Kasai said that most parts of the Western Pacific are trending in the right direction, he stressed that we must not become complacent, as global cases have seen a consecutive rise in the past 7 weeks. Especially with the identification of the new Omicron variant and the upcoming holiday season, he said that people should not be surprised to see more surges in COVID-19 cases in the near future, and should most of all remain vigilant. Regional Emergencies Director Dr. Babatunde Olawukur also outlined some of the latest information the WHO has regarding the Omicron variant, which include an increased transmissibility suggested by the spread of the variant in South Africa and the growing spread across the world, as well as preliminary evidence which points to the possibility of reinfection. He further stated that there is no new information yet regarding disease severity and vaccine performance, hence the situation must continue to be closely monitored. Dr. Kasai also answered a question from EAC News.
The next question that we have is from Darshana Gauchan with EAC News in Cambodia. A question also about Omicron and this time borders. Cambodia has already fully reopened to tourists since the 15th of November. What is your advice in relation to the new COVID-19 variant Omicron? Do you advise countries to restrict borders again?
Cambodia is actually the country that impressed me repeatedly. For example, they know how to effectively use the limited vaccines and prioritize the target groups. And as a result, I received the information that the healthcare worker, 100%, older people, more than 19%. And after that, they expand. And for general public, age above 18, is already reaching close to 96%. And then trying to continue to expand that vaccine.
Dr. Kasai added that the information he has received about the strategies Cambodia is using to save lives, protect health, and ensure a safe and sustainable reopening are in line with WHO discussions with member states. Hence, he looks forward to seeing the implementation results. He continued on to say that he understands that people are concerned about the Omicron variant, and that any temporary border measures being taken will only reduce the risk of importation, but will not be able to completely stop the virus from entering the country. He emphasized that countries should not just rely on border controls and become complacent, and everyone must continue individual practices to protect themselves, their families, and their community. He added that governments must also continue to request the business sector to actively assess the situation of risk and introduce mitigation measures accordingly. And the same applies for schools, where we must move away from a zero-risk approach and full school closures which negatively impact youth, and instead move towards a risk-based approach that is more adaptive to the immediate context. Dr. Kasai praised Cambodia for being a country that has experienced the Delta variant and successfully repressed the spread of cases. In relation to Omicron, he recommends that Cambodia and other countries in the region continue to use those experiences and lessons learned to be ready for any future surges. He stressed that we must continue to strive towards a society that can cope with the continuous surge and repeated emergence of new variants. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
WHO representative to Cambodia, Dr. Lee Alian, has said that the travel ban will not prevent the spread of the new COVID variant called Omicron. Her statement was in response to the World Health Organization statement released on Tuesday, advising for international traffic in relation to the new variant of COVID-19. EAC News reporter Ria Soka has more.
The World Health Organization calls on all countries to follow the international health regulations of 2005 and to show global solidarity in rapid and transparent information sharing and in a joint response to Omicron, as with all other variants, leveraging collective efforts to advance scientific understanding and sharing the benefits of applying newly acquired scientific knowledge and tools. It has commended the efforts of South Africa and Botswana for their capacities in surveillance and sequencing and for the speed and transparency with which they notified and shared information with the WHO Secretariat on the Omicron variant in accordance with the IHR. It says that these actions have allowed other countries to rapidly adjust the response measures in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. In response, WHO representative in Cambodia, Dr. Lee Lan, says that while risk-based border control measures may help buy time for country readiness for a surge, blanket travel bans will not prevent the international spread, and they place a heavy burden on lives and livelihoods. As noted in the WHO announcement, the Omicron variant has a large number of mutations, some of which are concerning. It is expected that the Omicron variant will be detected in an increasing number of countries as national authorities step up their surveillance and sequencing activities. Reyes Soko, EAC News.
The Minister of Information, Q Kanyarit, has stated that fake news has made people lose their trust in the government. So journalists play an important role in helping to dispel and eliminate fake news through the broadcast of true information. This statement was made at the Harmful Effects and Government Actions in Dealing with Fake News seminar in Siem Reap on Friday morning. EAC News reporter Dashana Gochan has more details.
Speaking at the seminar on fake news, Minister of Information Q Kanyarit has said that Cambodia has seen the circulation of a lot of fake news, especially during the outbreak of COVID-19. He added that opposition groups fabricate news in order to erode public trust in the government, so journalists have an important role to play in eliminating the spread of this fake news through the dissemination of factual information. He continued that journalists perform their professional roles even in stressful situations, such as during the spread of COVID-19, as a necessary contribution in support of the government, as urgent policies, responses to new events, and crucial information must reach the public in a timely manner. In addition, he stated that journalists also help to relay the necessary needs of the people back to the government. The minister also thanked the government of China for its Lancang-Mekong cooperation mechanism, which has provided aid through special funds to countries along the Mekong River, such as Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. He said that through this grant, the Ministry of Information has been able to conduct a research project on the impact of fake news and the necessary government solutions needed. He added that the ministry will also publish a book based on the results of this research. On the subject of laws against fake news, the minister stated that Cambodia has not yet considered an anti-fake news law or mechanisms like the one that exists in Singapore, because Cambodia has a good level of governance. However, he added that some other relevant laws, such as a technology-related crime law, may be passed in the future. The Director General of the Department of Information and Broadcasting, Pos Soban, also spoke at the seminar and said that the Information Ministry has previously established a fake news monitoring committee. He added that the Ministry of Information has been actively working in cooperation with the National Police Commissioner General of the Ministry of Interior and the Cambodian Telecommunications Regulator of the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications to prevent the spread of fake news. Because of these efforts, he said that some cases have been resolved in a timely manner. However, in other cases, fake news is created and distributed freely on social media, which the government is unable to control. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Landmines have been the blight that has plagued Cambodia long after the soldiers laid down their weapons. For many, the spectre of war still looms, often with deadly consequences. But the country makes inroads to rectify the situation, and at the heart of the solution is CMAC mine disposal. In the first 10 months of 2021, the Cambodian Mine Action Centre located and destroyed 69,904 landmines and unexploded ordnance. In doing so, they cleared over 83 million square metres of affected land. This impressive feat was announced by the Royal Government delegate in charge of General Director of the CMAC, Heng Ratana, at the CMAC Board of Directors meeting on Tuesday. The land clearance had a hugely beneficial effect to locals. Over 36,627 families were directly and indirectly affected. Further progression was made during the same period. Outreach also conducted clearance measures securing 14,538 pieces of ordnance. There is much to be done. The draft plan for 2022 plans to clear 125 square kilometres in accordance with the national plan and the commitment with the international community to achieve the Ottawa International Convention by the end of 2025. The path to a man-free Cambodia is a long one, but the recent clearance figures show that there is light at the end of the tunnel. The defense chiefs of the United States and South Korea said on Thursday they would review and update ways to deter North Korea, even as they emphasized a growing regional role for Seoul. North Korea's missile and weapons developments are increasingly destabilizing for regional security, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said, after talks with his South Korean counterpart, Shu Wook. But the two sides also discussed issues beyond the Korean Peninsula.
A changing security environment prompted the United States and South Korea to agree to update strategic guidance about how they plan for a potential conflict with North Korea.
We also reaffirmed our shared assessment that the DPRK is continuing to advance its missile and weapons programs, which is increasingly destabilizing for regional security. The United States and the ROK remain committed to a diplomatic approach to the DPRK, and we continue to call upon the DPRK to engage in dialogue.
They also review their combined military command. Seo has said U.S. and South Korean officials caution that the updates to the contingency war plans are routine and not a preparation for war. Currently, the United States would command allied troops in the event of war, but South Korea has been seeking to gain operational control.
At today's meeting, we shared many progress status related to these tasks and agreed to conclude them within next year. In addition, after reaffirming that conditions listed in the operational control, transition plan must be sufficiently satisfied. We also decide to execute the future Combined Forces Command and full operational capability assessment in 2022.
Seo has added that the two sides made progress on meeting conditions for OPCON transfer to South Korea and agreed to assess the future command's full operational capability next year.
Whatever we do will be done as a part of an international community. The best case, though, is that we won't see an incursion by the Soviet Union into Ukraine. And so we would hope that Putin would be a lot more transparent, and we would work to resolve issues and concerns and lower the temperature in the region.
Austin also suggested any U.S. response to Russia's actions towards Ukraine would be carried out in conjunction with the international community, as he called on Moscow to be transparent about its military buildup. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
North Korea leader Kim Jong-un has said the country must be prepared for a very giant struggle next year to continue to make progress in areas including defense, agriculture, and construction. State-run television KRT reported on Thursday. Kim made the remarks on Wednesday at a meeting of the Central Committee of the ruling Workers' Party Politburo, which decided to hold a plenary meeting of the committee next month. Kim said that while the country still faces economic difficulties, the party has had success in pushing to meet policy targets and implementing the 5-year economic plan he unveiled earlier this year. Kim has sought to boost the economy and power supply with his plan, but UN agencies have said food and electricity shortages remain, exacerbated by sanctions imposed over North Korea's nuclear and missile programs, the COVID-19 pandemic, and natural disasters. Now for a look at the news making international headlines this Friday, 3rd of December.
Heavy rains that triggered floods and landslides in central Vietnam, leaving at least 18 people missing. Authorities say some feared dead, with houses destroyed and roads damaged. The Vietnam Disaster Management Agency has reported that heavy rain, flooding, and landslides have affected the provinces of Quang Nam, Quang Ngai, Binh Dinh, Po Yen, and Kon Tum. Heavy rain began 1 week ago. The government has said that rains have subsided. However, efforts were underway to locate those missing. One person died after being swept away by floods waters in Kon Plong District, Kon Tum Province, while another victim died in floods in An Lao District, Binh Dinh, the following day. BDMA reported 2,617 houses were damaged by floods, including 17 in Phu Yen, 1,500 in Binh Dinh, and 950 in Quang Ngai. A total of 182 households have been evacuated across the province of Quang Nam, mostly affected by landslides. Landslides and flooding have blocked national highways, interprovincial and local roads, while communities have been left isolated in 3 provinces. Schools and educational establishments have been closed, and thousands of students are missing classes in Binh Dinh province due to massive flooding. Beach towns Phu Yen, Binh Dinh, and Vietnam's main coffee-growing province, Dak Lak, were hardest hit. The floods have inundated 780 hectares, about 7.8 square kilometers of rice fields, although no damage has been reported so far to coffee farms. Vietnam is prone to storms and flooding due to its long coastline. Natural disasters, predominantly floods and landslides from storms, killed 378 people last year.
Ukraine holds artillery drills next to the borders of Russian-annexed Crimea, as reported by the Defense Ministry on Wednesday. Servicemen train weekly their skills in preparing practical actions to detect and destroy airborne forces of an imaginary enemy. The commander of Joint Forces of Armed Forces of Ukraine, Serhiy Nayev, says the Ukrainian military are ready for military actions under different scenarios. The drills also aimed at detecting and destroying an enemy take place weekly. While Howitzer Artillery Crew Commander Volodymyr has declared that the soldiers must undergo such drills regularly so not to forget some details. A footage shows servicemen setting up and operating Howitzer systems. Russia has been building up forces near its borders with Ukraine, and Kiev, the United States, and NATO have voiced concerns about a possible Russian attack, a suggestion the Kremlin has dismissed as false. Ukrainian troops have fought Russian-backed separatists in a conflict in eastern Ukraine that Kiev says has killed 14,000 people since 2014. Meanwhile, Russia is also having its regular winter military drills in the southern military district, parts of which border Ukraine, and that 10,000 troops had relocated to training grounds across the huge area. The Defense Ministry has made a statement that the drills would also take place in Crimea, the Black Sea Peninsula which Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014, and in a Russian region bordering Donbass, a swath of eastern Ukraine seized by Russian-backed separatists the same year. US officials, NATO, and Ukraine have for weeks been raising the alarm about a possibly new Russian attack on Ukraine, pointing to unusual Russian troops movements near its borders. Russia has dismissed those suggestions as fear-mongering and has said it has the right to move its troops on its own territory as it sees fit. The Russian military drills, which involve motorized infantry units, would take place on more than 30 training grounds in at least 6 different regions.
And torrential rains battered the northwest town of Medellin for 2 days, from Tuesday to Thursday, causing massive flooding across the city's streets, sweeping away vehicles, buses, rocks, destroying everything on its path, and rivers overflowing and blocking many roads. Authorities have reported that the torrential rain left 80 houses flooded and 7 injured. No fatalities have been reported. Authorities will hold an extraordinary risk management meeting to discuss measures to be taken for the immediate relief of affected residents.
After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, please, please wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
The Cambodian national football team has already left the country on Thursday to compete at the AFF Suzuki Cup 2020 in Singapore. The competition will be held from Sunday, the 5th of December until the 1st of January. Assistant coach of the Cambodian national football team, Pia Sopek Tra, says the Cambodian team had trained hard and will get more warmed up, led by their general manager, Kasuki Honda, before the matches start. The 10 football teams of the AFF Suzuki Cup 2020 have 2 poles. Pole A includes Singapore, Thailand, Myanmar, the Philippines, Timor-Leste, and the Pole B consists of Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Laos, and Vietnam. Cambodia have 4 matches versus Malaysia on the 6th of December, Indonesia on the 9th of December, Laos on the 15th, and Vietnam on the 19th. Cristiano Ronaldo passed the 800 goal mark for club and country, scoring twice as Manchester United beat Arsenal 3-2 in an incident-packed Premier League match on Thursday.
Arsenal took the lead in bizarre fashion in the 13th minute when from a corner United keeper David De Gea went down clutching his foot after he was stood on by teammate Fred and Emily Smith-Rowe, drilled a shot into the unguarded goal from the edge of the box. As referee Martin Artickson had not blown his whistle before the ball went into the net and no foul had taken place, the goal stood. United drew level a minute before the interval through a Bruno Fernandes strikes and took the lead in the 15th minute when Ronaldo converted a low cross from Marcus Rashford for his 800th goal. The Gunners struck back quickly through Martin Odegaard, but Ronaldo got the winner from the penalty spot after Atkinson went to the pitch side monitor and ruled that Fred had been brought down by Odegaard. The match began with United fans displaying a tribute banner to former manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was sacked last month. The club's new interim manager Ralf Rangnick watched the game from the stands.
Skating officials have announced that one of the key figure skating events leading into the Winter Olympics, the Grand Prix final, has been cancelled after Japan closed its borders to non-Japanese visitors earlier this week. The news disappoints the Japanese skating fans, but at the same time, they support the decision due to the emergence of the new COVID-19 Omicron variant.
The Grand Prix final, which was scheduled for the western city of Osaka from 9 to 12 December, has long been seen as a key step on the road to the Winter Olympics, which will run from 4 to 20 February in Beijing next year.
I wanted to see Uno skate, so it's a lonesome feeling.
I think it's very safe to hold the competition in Japan if people didn't have to travel. But there's a risk because people need to cross the border, so it's no surprise that it got cancelled.
Though disappointed not to be able to see world-class figure skaters in Japan, many figure skating fans at the Tokyo Ice Rink were supportive of the decision to cancel the event.
It's not just athletes. There will be various staff that will be traveling from overseas, so there are fear we can't strong off. So I think it was a wise decision that they canceled it, but I'm very disappointed.
Japan on Monday took some of the strictest steps globally by closing its borders to new foreigner entrants for about a month in light of the emergency of the new coronavirus variant, Omicron.
Now let's have a look at the weather and see what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, crowds returned to New York City's Midtown Manhattan on Wednesday for the 89th annual lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, officially kicking off the holiday season in the usual fashion. This year's event was open to the general public, in contrast to last year's gathering that saw strict COVID-19 restrictions as virus infection cases soared.
The 2-hour ceremony was broadcasted live with a slew of star-studded performances, some virtual, including Carrie Underwood, whose pre-recorded performance of her song Let There Be Peace was broadcast from Nashville. Brad Paisley covering Buck Owens' 1965 country classic Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy. Jose Feliciano teaming up with Latin American boy band CNCO for a memorable performance of his timely song Feliz Navidad, among others. The night's highlight came with more than 50,000 multicolored LED lights and a 900-pound star with at least 70 spikes covered in 3 million crystals were switched on, bringing the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree to life. New York's outgoing Mayor Bill de Blasio and Tishman Speyer CEO Rob Speyer, whose company owns the Rockefeller Center, were on hand to light a 12-ton, 79-foot-tall Norway spruce that was donated by the Price family from Elkton, Maryland. This year's tree will be on display through early January 2022.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check out our website, eacnews.asia, or search EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.